Hello, everyone. So today is an air law review day, which means if you have any questions throughout, you can ask me, and I can look at the Bible of Aviation, because I have that, or any questions on the actual Bible. I have one of those too. So I was thinking for this, I would go through the PowerPoint presentations from the lessons we've had so far. This is a CAD/PAT Bible from camp, yeah. Got that at Bagotville. The only cool thing is I got it at Bagotville. So share screen. So this is slideshow 1. I'll go through with each of them quickly. Runway numbering. So those are ordered magnetically. Oh, this is just the outline. You can tell I didn't present this one. So rounded to the nearest 10 degrees, so you only need 2 numbers. And the last, there can be left and right to designate parallel runways. Flight Sergeant Falsetto, go ahead, ask your question.
What about if there's 3 runways? Like I know at Pearson in Toronto, they have, because the 2 south runways came before the north one, they have the 2-4 left, 2-4 right, and then the 2-3. But what about 3 that were built when they were all planned to be there? Like at the plan was made to have 3 runways instead of 1 just being added on at the end.
That's definitely a rare case. If I was the one making the airport, I'd have maybe runway 12M for middle. But I'm sure it would be stated in the Canadian Flight Supplement exactly how it's laid out at the specific airport. There's no way that would be a test question, though.
Okay, thank you.
So they're just rounded and they're magnetic degrees. Yeah. So you've got your threshold, your touchdown zone, your distance marks, the line down the middle, your numbers, designated. Really, yeah, just space, stripes, and gaps to show you where to land and like the last possible moment to decide to take off or not. Diagram of the runway. Whoa. This diagram of the runway? I saw a chat message about Nordo signals. Those are confusing. Yeah, I can go over them. Displaced threshold, it can be used for takeoff, but not for touchdown. And it would be because of obstacles or a mountain or trees or something. So yeah, stopway is like a extra, like additional area to stop at the airport. You can have a temporarily moved threshold marking. That's just indicated by little lines on the ground. Taxiways are indicated by yellow with yellow center lines to not have accidents on the runway, because airplanes don't make good cars, so you need really well planned out roads for them. And you've got your hold short lines, which is like one side dashed lines, the other side straight lines, to show you where to stay back from an active runway if you're trying to cross. Yeah, you would have X's if a part of a runway is closed for maintenance, or for maybe not necessarily maintenance, but if it's permanently they're taking runway 23 out of service, they'd put X's along it, so you know to not try and land there because the pavement's probably bumpy. You have misspelled windsocks. And those, yeah, those show you the wind speed. They should be visible from a decent altitude as you're trying to land, because air currents near the ground are not always the same as they are further up high. And each little segment is about 3 knots. Okay. So lights, taxiways and blue lights. And there's this diagram here if anyone needs to copy that or no. Yeah, so if you're over by our Ottawa airport at night, you can see like the blue lights all over. It's pretty cool looking, actually. Wait, what's the red light? Oh, that would be, I guess, end of runway? Well, I don't know why that picture's there. The circuit.
That picture's there for, you know how like on top of buildings they put lights so planes see them?
Oh, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. So upwind, crosswind, downwind, base, and then final. There's a good picture here. So upwind is on the opposite side of the runway where you do your circuit. And you have your downwind leg, and you turn left at your base leg, and then left onto final. Then you can land. So that's when you're trying to land. When you take off, you just take off from the runway and just go, and after you're high enough up, you can turn where you want to go. Nordo, yes. Nordo stands for no radio. And it's for aircraft that cannot communicate over the radio because maybe the radio is broken or something. So Ronly is you can only receive. Tower asks for confirmation through visual signs. So tower can ask for confirmation from you if they're only able to chat.
Could you give some examples of how you would signal to a Nordo aircraft?
Oh, from the ground, it's using light signals. And that's what the air traffic control would use. And from the aircraft on the previous slide, it suggested something like rocking the wings. is probably what the tower would ask for you, which makes a lot of sense. So flashing green light is cleared to taxi, steady green is cleared to take off. So you can think on the ground, green means go, somewhat. Flashing is get out of the landing area. Steady is just stop where you are. And a flashing white light would be returning to your starting point. Steady green in the air is cleared to land. Flashing green is return for landing. So say they tell you to just wait where you are before landing, steady green is return to landing. So after you get the flashing red, eventually you'd probably get a flashing green. Flashing red is do not land here because it's unsafe. That could be some terrorist style incident, or it could just be there's too much snow and ice on the runways. It's your responsibility to make sure you've got your flight permit and everything, that your aircraft is safe and all that before flying. Licenses, operating handbooks, registration, airworthiness, insurance, journey log are all required to be on board the aircraft. Information is the same thing as, I'm pretty sure this is all just the same as Aerogilly. Air signals. Authorized lights to aircraft in the air. So if you're trying to, usually there's a table that goes along with this, but if you're trying to remember this, green is usually like, green is good, green means go. Steady is cleared to land in the air. Oh. There must have been an error on this. Green means go burr, what? Let's see if the Bible has, I don't know where I would look. It doesn't just show it in the appendix. If someone wants to go looking for Nordo signals, yeah, Woolerton, thanks. Steady red means unsafe. No, it's just the Bible doesn't have a good index. Okay, I think that's it for slideshow 1. Yay. So we can jump into slideshow 2. Yeah, this is the one I taught. One of the ones I taught. Steady red means give way and circle. Flashing red makes sense. Like, oh, like flashing like a fire truck or a police car. Flashing red, do not land here. So you're trying to remember that. So this is the second lesson for air law. Canadian domestic airspace. So northern, mostly Nunavut and the Northwest Territories is northern domestic airspace. Uses true track, so that's to geographic north. Southern airspace in Canada uses magnetic track. So you've got high level airspace, and low level airspace. In the high level airspace above 18,000 feet, you use the standard barometric pressure, as well as in the northern area, you also use standard barometric pressure, because the airport stations are few and far between. So if everyone's at the same if everyone's set to the same barometric pressure, then they're all at proper altitudes relative to each other, and you lower your risks of crashes. Airspace is broken into areas A through G, as well as like terminal control areas, which are usually C, D, or E. Class A is above 18,000. It's for IFR only, and you need a radio. Remember, throughout, you can ask me questions, and hopefully I can answer them. So Class A is above 18,000 feet, and you need a transponder and a radio, and you'd probably have to fly IFR because you'd likely be above clouds. Class B is between IFR area and I think Class E airspace, so it's below. Class A, you need a radio and a transponder, and you can fly IFR or controlled VFR. So that's VFR where like you're being somewhat controlled by the air traffic control area. So 12,500 feet to 12.5 thousand to just about 18,000. Class C is around an airport. So yeah, Class C is around an airport. It's for IFR and VFR aircraft. You must have a radio and a transponder. And it goes from ground to whatever altitude is specified in the Canadian Flight Supplement. Class D is closer into the airport, and like it's for smaller airports with less traffic. And aircraft, you have to make radio contact before entering, and it's functionally very similar to Class C, except it has less traffic. Class E is low. Give me a couple minutes before I give out the password, okay? So low up to 2,200 feet. And then you have Class F, which is for pity's sake, don't fly here because you're not allowed. So it's advisory from things like gliding operations or restricted from military operations. And you're allowed to fly through CYA airspace, but you have to be super careful about it. And all the information in the CFS or like a VFR map. So you have G, which is just go wild. It's pretty much everything else. So do you guys want to answer any confirmation questions, or do you have confirmation questions for me? That blurb of text is not the password. Please do not try typing that in the chat there. So, okay. So altimeter setting region, I explained that it's the north and in pretty much Class A airspace. You need to set it to standard pressure. Control zone is around airports, and it's all written out in the CFS. I think that's pretty much it for this one. Yep. So if you have questions, you can ask me because, yeah. So this, oh no, didn't share it. There it is. So this is the third lesson. Avoidance, it's your responsibility to keep the aircraft safe and avoid collisions. Two aircraft head on, you both turn to the right. If an aircraft, basically the right of way is if an aircraft is more maneuverable, then that aircraft has to give the right of way to less maneuverable aircraft. Yeah, don't do things that could cause an accident. Cruising altitudes, altitudes below 18,000 feet are stated as flight levels. Pretty sure if you want to share your meme, you might, it looks like maybe you tried to share it off of Google or something like that. I think you can download it and attach it as a file into chat if you want to share your meme. So altitudes are mean sea level pressure, are based off of mean sea level and can be referred to as flight levels. So if you're flying on a eastward heading, you'd go as odd. You'd have an odd 1,000 plus 500 feet because you're VFR. But if you're heading to the west, then it's even thousands plus 500 feet. I don't find this terribly difficult to remember, but Newfoundland is weird. So odd thousands if you're heading east. Yeah, you have to follow air traffic control instructions unless your safety would be at risk. So you should be seeing air law class number 4 now, I hope. So that's VFR weather minima. This might be something you want to copy down. In controlled zones, it's 500 feet from cloud, 500 feet from cloud everywhere. And in control zones, it's 1 mile horizontally from the cloud. 3 mile visibility and 500 feet above ground level. So in other controlled airspace, that would be maybe, that would be, I think, like class C, or maybe, yeah, class C or D would be other controlled airspace. Could be other controlled airspace. So 500 feet from cloud, 1 mile horizontal and 3 mile visibility. Uncontrolled airspace is 500 feet from cloud, 2,000 horizontally. So it's much, you can be much closer horizontally to clouds in uncontrolled airspace. Day, you want 1 mile visibility. Night, you want 3. So required materials to fly, that's your aerogilly. So at night, you need all your functioning instruments, as well as a flashlight and a timepiece. At night, it's important to have a turn and bank coordinator because at night you've got that night blindness thing, and then you don't, because of like inertia and inner ear stuff, you don't really know where you are, and you can like end up spiraling and crashing, which isn't good. So civil twilight, day is beginning of morning civil twilight till the end, usually about 30 minutes is a good benchmark. Control zones, you must, oh, for special VFR, yeah, that's if weather conditions don't exactly permit for you to fly VFR, but it's fine. And you must continue to have ground reference throughout, and it can only be authorized if visibility isn't less than 1 mile. So oxygen, because there's less pressure and less air as you go higher, there's a risk of not enough oxygen getting to your body. Below 10,000, you don't need oxygen. Between 10 and 13,000, you need oxygen for up to 30 minutes. Like, so you can't be in between those for above 30 minutes. So you got a 30-minute window between 10 and 13 where you don't need oxygen. Past that, you do need oxygen. And the oxygen is for about 10% of your passengers. And above 13,000, you need oxygen the whole time. Dangerous goods, that's not terribly important. Don't bring anything dangerous on an aircraft. Some of the most important bits is just the stuff that is difficult to memorize, like those Nordo signals or weather minimums. Not yet. I'm planning to say the code around 9 o'clock. So in a minute or so. So yeah, Nordo signals, VFR weather minima, because the questions like, should you be drinking while flying an aircraft are a lot easier to remember. I find air laws kind of tricky because there's a lot of just things you have to know. So just go through the slideshows and you should be able to pick out the things that you know you won't know. Airmanship. Frequencies. There's a frequency given for airports and uncontrolled airports for communication and stuff. There's mandatory frequency areas where there's a set frequency for a whole area and you kind of just all talk over the frequency if you're there. And you have to report your position and intentions before entering the area and be alert to the radio and around you for other traffic. ATF is aerodrome traffic frequency. So that'd be a busy airport where they need more than one group, like more than one frequency there for maybe planes that are arriving, planes that are departing, and planes that are taxiing around to de-ice and stuff. So usually Unicom frequency 122.8, ground station 123.2, but that would all be stated in the Canadian Flight Supplement, and those things might be a little too specific to be quizzed on. Marshal signals, that would be like a police officer at a burnt out intersection light. Just helps you navigate. They help show you how to navigate your aircraft safely. And it's I think that would be, oh, it's just these guys on the ground that like taxi at the 747s. That would actually be a pretty fun job. I think a while back there was a TikTok of some guy who was like dancing while doing that. Fuel requirements, you have to have enough fuel to get to your destination plus 30 minutes during the day or 45 minutes at night. So that's if one of your airports is out of service and you need to divert to your backup. under IFR, there's a little bit extra. You need to be able to have all the fuel for an extra approach and missed approach. That's pretty cool. Plus your 45 reserve. And if an alternate aerodrome is there, you have to have enough fuel to fly there and an extra 45. That's because IFR is kind of a little bit more dangerous. 30 minutes reserve is for day. For night VFR, it's 45, but for IFR, there's a whole other can of worms where like you need extra fuel in case you need to divert or something. Over water, you must be able to, if you're past being able to glide back to land, you must have life jackets and other life jackety stuff. Like crazy maneuvers, it's considered aerobatics. Not to be done over an urban area. When I was doing glider, our training area was mostly just cornfields, but also was a little area that was over some houses, and we weren't allowed to do any spins or spirals over there. We were only allowed to do it over the cornfields. So that's what that rule means. So you can do it in uncontrolled airspace or with special certifications, and you can't have passengers unless you've got enough instruction, and it should be at a safe altitude so you can recover from a spin or a spiral. Report aircraft occurrences to the Transportation Safety Board. Don't cause accidents. Oh, a reportable aviation accident has death or injury. If accident is an aircraft occurrence. Confidential air safety reporting system. So that's maybe to be like a whistleblower without getting called out by your air traffic company for nitpicking the safety. No explosives and dangerous goods unless you've got a special license to transport. You should be able to communicate if you're flying over sparse areas. You must have enough survival equipment if you're flying over sparse areas so you can be rescued, especially if it's winter. And a couple confirmation questions. You guys already did these confirmation questions, so it wouldn't be that much of a challenge. What questions do you have for me while I grab the class password and send it to the chat? So the password form, I sent that. And then the password is starboard. That's the right side of the boat. I looked it up. I don't know the difference, but it's the right side of a boat, starboard.